Hello and welcome to another episode of the CIRS Group podcast. I am Barbara,
And I'm Jacie.
and today we are going to talk about what happens when you start leaking. And no, not you as a person, although, I mean, go get that checked out. But like your home or someplace that you are, maybe your workplace, you have a leak. What the heck do you do now? And this is inspired by a very real situation that Jacie just experienced. So, yes, I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, this is not medical advice. We are not medical practitioners in any way. We are just CIRS patients, and we've read the textbook. We have a wonderful member-filled group called the CIRS Group, cirsgroup.com. And but that's it. We are not actual doctors. This is not medical advice.
We're also not remediators.
That's true. We are also not indoor environmental professionals or IEPs. So definitely seek out your own professional
Yep.
environmentalist. No, what? What?
Yep.
EEP? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, Michael Schranz is like pissed. He's just, just kidding.
For anyone who doesn't know, Michael Schratz is like this amazing. He's amazing. He's an amazing remediator. He's not
That's
paying us to
solid.
say this. He's just awesome. We saw him at CIRS last year and he had one of the best talks. It was so good. I can't wait for CIRS. I can't wait to see him again.
Yeah, no, same, agreed, and all of the things. And that's why he came up when I was thinking who would be mad at this episode right now. No, but yeah, let's talk about your fun adventure that literally just happened like last week or very recently.
Yeah, so I spent 3 months in the UK, which, by the way, might be at the same level as Florida to me at this point. Like, I'm not sure it's safe for human. It feels unlivable. Just in terms of like the humidity and the wet there. Like, it's a very wet country. But anyways, I came back from the UK and literally the next weekend. So I had not even been back in Colorado for 7 days. I looked up at my bathroom ceiling and I could see bubbling, like that water damage bubbling. And I was like, oh gosh, like, is this old? Is this from the past 3 months or is this like right now? So I very carefully went up and I started poking it very gently and it was malleable. And so I didn't know if I hadn't seen it, like if I didn't realize it had been there. And so that made me a little nervous. But my roommate said that he hadn't noticed it, that the entire time I was gone, he hadn't noticed it over the past couple days. So we thought it was pretty recent. We immediately called our maintenance people for our apartment complex, and it was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. So we called the on-call guy, and he came out. He was like, "Thank you so much for telling us. Like, we wouldn't have wanted to deal with this for 5 hours on a Sunday. Much better we come out, late on a Saturday night." Greystar Communities, can't recommend them enough. The maintenance
Yeah.
guys are great. We're also kind of buddy buddies with them, so like just public announcement to make friends with your maintenance people.
Yes.
But it was a pipe. So in my bathroom ceiling is our heater slash air conditioning unit. And it sits over this metal pan, and the metal pan drains into my bathtub. But the part that was leaking was like adjunct to the metal pan. And it was from a pipe that had cracked. So they stopped the water source. They replaced the pipe, that section of the pipe that night. They removed a whole section of the ceiling, anything that had been touched by the water. And that night we still had part of the pipe was leaking, but because the ceiling was open, we were just catching that water in a bucket. And the next day they came out, replaced the full length of the pipe, they replaced the ceiling, and then like 2 days later our heater broke and the heater was actually leaking into the metal pan, into my bathtub. It was like the ideal situation for a leak. But then they had to fix that again. All to say, like, it was just 2 weeks of, for me, really high anxiety. I'm very lucky, my roommate was on it. He was like climbing up there and he's so good. He's like, I don't see any mold up here. And it's so helpful as a CIRS patient to just like have people bolstering your confidence, because as much as mold can make you sick, your thoughts about mold can make you sick. And so he was just really helpful in not allowing me to like run away with the worst case scenarios. But to be more practical, to make my experience uh, a learning experience for everyone, we wanted to give you some of the, emergency tips, preventative measures, stuff you can do in case you do experience a leak or any sort of water damage.
If you are renting, what Jacie did was perfect. Calling for help immediately like that, making sure your landlord is aware of it. Hopefully, they're going to be cool. I noticed that the larger companies, sometimes, not always, they have the manpower, they have the finances, they want to take care of a problem so it doesn't become a massive problem later for other residents. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think I remember the last time I lived in an apartment, there was water coming through our garage, which was actually a different part of the building. So it didn't affect where we were living, but it was dripping into where I keep my car. And it was like someone's bathtub from right above it, which is like wild to me. But they came out immediately and like cut out the ceiling. And this was way before I knew about CIRS. So I wasn't even like that worried about it. But they cut out and removed everything that they needed to, let it dry out, had fans, and then, replaced everything. So if you're living in apartment life, hopefully you have some really responsive maintenance people that you can call on, or at least a relationship with your landlord. Maybe it's a private owner. Just know who it is that they would want you to call. Maybe have that person's contact information so you can just be ready if and when that happens. You can call their maintenance person of choice and get them over to where you're living to fix the problem as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it was funny because if you don't rent and you're responsible for your own home, it's like you have more control in that situation, but it might be more difficult to get help if you don't like have a handyman on call. But when this was happening, a friend messaged me on Instagram because she has CIRS, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, we were living at my fiance's parents' house and we noticed water damage on the wall, and he just tore out the drywall with his bare hands to get it out of there." And I was like, "Oh my God, marry him." And she's like, "That's the plan."
Yeah.
If you are a homeowner, maybe build a relationship with a handyman or someone who can help you in that situation if you don't feel like you would be fully capable if that were to happen to you.
Yeah. I guess also in line with preventative stuff, if you own your own home and you are looking to do a big project, let's say it is part of a remediation, or maybe it's, replacing your HVAC system or any other job around the house, a really good rule of thumb is to get at least 3 bids for the job if you have time, if you are able to. If this isn't like this emergency moment, but if you are thinking ahead and wanting to, let's say, replace a really old HVAC system, which is what I'm doing this week, um, we got 3 bids for that job and they were wildly different. Like I'm talking $25,000 on one end and 10,000 on the other. Huge difference and even different tactics. But the more bids that you can get, if you have the time to get them, the better, just so that because that also gives you the chance to interact with that person and like really get a feel for how they carry themselves, if you can sense some integrity there, if you can sense that they're just trying to sell and make as much money off of you as possible. We totally got absolutely different vibes from all 3 of these options and went with the one that we felt the best with about. So yeah, and that again, think ahead right now if you can put that on your to-do list to maybe call a couple handymen just so that you can start that relationship. Maybe you don't have anything for them to do right now, but even tell them that you want to meet someone, you want to have somebody like on call for this particular reason. Maybe you can even tell them a little bit about CIRS, get a feel for how much they care. And now you have somebody that you can call at a moment's notice to take care of an issue if and when it comes up.
So if an issue does come up, here's kind of the order of operations, like the steps you can take to try and stop as much as possible, and then what to do moving forward. So the first thing you want to do, if you can, is stop the water source. If you can turn off the water main to your house, or if you have, for us, it's like the water heater goes to the heater. So we turned off that water source so that you can stop the active leak. That's huge. Next is calling for help. So before you even call for help, try to turn off the water source and then use the strategies we just said, either the maintenance people or hopefully a handyman that you have a relationship with, to get some help in. If you don't have a relationship with a handyman, I would start looking at remediators. And again, it's a difficult situation because you don't want to be hamstrung into like someone who's just going to charge you out the wazoo because they know that you're in an emergency situation. So possible, like really try and build a relationship with someone now. And then in that step, for that help, really their main purpose should be fixing the leak, whatever's causing the water damage, but then also removing all the wet material. And this is important because my maintenance guys just kind of wanted to cut out the one section of the ceiling. And I was like, can you just remove anything that have moisture? And they were like, oh yeah. Like it wasn't a big deal to them. They just didn't think about it. And so you want to kind of have that approach with people, not thinking like, oh, they're trying to do like a half butt job. Like just assume they don't know.
Yeah.
As soon as I asked, they were like, yeah, no problem, we'll do that.
Yeah, I think Dr. D suggests like 12 to 16 inches. You want to get outside of where the water damage looks like it affected. You almost treat it like cutting out a cancer. Like you want to get fully dry edges to
Good
whatever's being
margins.
cut out. Margins, thank you. That was
Good
the word.
margins.
Good margins.
I watch a lot of Grey's Anatomy. Can you tell?
Yes, now everything makes sense.
So some things I started to do immediately was using air filters. I ordered Air Oasis iAdapt right after that situation. Buy one now. You don't have to wait for this to happen. I wish I had this stuff on hand actually before this had happened. That would have made this whole process a lot easier. But I got an Air Oasis to start filtering the air. The maintenance guys actually brought fans to dry out the area. So not only did they remove the wet, but they just brought fans as like a standard procedure for them for the apartment that we live in. And the rule of thumb, I believe, is if you have water damage and you can dry it out within 24 hours, that's kind of the rule of thumb to preventing any sort of pathogenic growth. The other strategy that I used is I got this probiotic spray for your house from a brand called Homebiotic, no association whatsoever. Their shipping took so freaking long, and to pay for like the expedited shipping was like double the cost of the actual product. So again, if you have the time, if you have the bandwidth now, just keep a bottle on hand. But it's this Homebiotic spray and you spray it on the area for, I think it's like 3 to 6 days from the event. Obviously, I'm laughing because I had this conversation with my roommate. Um, don't spray it to the point of like saturation. Don't spray it so that you are causing more water damage than you already had. It's just a light dusting, light airing of the probiotics. And the theory is that by allowing this good bacteria to grow, it's going to reduce the potential for pathogenic growth.
Beautiful. Yeah. What is it about like CIRS related products that takes so long to get here? Like, I don't know if anybody else orders that EC3 stuff for your laundry, but I use that because God forbid I have separate ingredients that I have to measure out and put into my laundry. No, I need to just have it in a bottle that I've purchased ready to go and I just pour it in. That's my issue. But when you order that stuff, it takes like a solid 2 to 3 weeks to get there. And this is on Amazon, guys. This is like with the Prime membership, the whole deal. It takes a long time to get there. So I am not surprised and yet, but also still infuriated on your behalf that this other product also took way too long. What the
If
heck?
anyone is looking for a business idea, like an e-com service supplies business would do well. I'm just
Yes.
saying, like it would
Yes.
do, I would buy from you.
There's honestly so many capitalist opportunities in CIRS. Like, and not even in a gross way. Like, just does anybody want to build something that's completely safe from mold and like let people live there for their treatment? Like, build that building, somebody, please,
People
and
would
you can
throw
charge
money at
rent.
you.
Yeah. There's so many. I mean, we could go on. We could make a whole episode about ways you should start businesses to help CIRS people. But
Free business ideas.
yes. Yes. Anyway, continue.
So kind of in dealing with the aftermath, and some of this is actually preventative. You could do this before you have a water leak. But definitely make sure that after you have any sort of water damage, you're doing air filtering. So again, the Air Oasis, again, no association. I think CIRS Lab has a discount code though. Definitely don't buy it full price. Use a
Yeah.
discount code.
Yeah.
Wait for their sales. They have them over most holidays. And then the other thing I did was an actinos cleaning, just to make sure like any sort of bacteria that had grown is being removed from the environment. Also with like all of the drywall, all of the drywall removal. Like that was so much dust kicked up in our environment. The day after, they cut out the ceiling, my roommate and I both woke up and we were just like sinusy because of all of the dust and particles from that. So I did a lot of cleaning, just constantly removing that dust that had been kicked up. Another thing you can do is you can put pans under appliances. You can put them under like your hot water heater. You can put them under your dishwasher. You can put them under your washing machine. You can put pans under your sink. So, like in your bathroom, in your kitchen, put pans under the sinks. That way, if you do have, leaking, hopefully you can catch it before it spills over the pan. But if you do have any sort of event like that, it's at least catching that water.
Yeah. Also, in those pans, you can put what's called a leak alarm. And this is a little device, and we'll link an option in the show notes, but there are lots out there. Um, and you just set it down, and if it detects a certain level of moisture, it will scream like bloody murder. It's the loudest. It's like, like a smoke detector, but for water. And you can put that next to your toilet and under the sink and next to your hot water heater or in that pan. Like you just put it everywhere that you may encounter a leak. And that's going to be a very audible, loud notice to you that there is a problem the moment that it's a problem, which is obviously key in any of this. You want to catch it as soon as possible before anything can grow.
So the leak alarms you're talking about are super cheap. They're
Yeah.
super cheap. They're like 5, $10 a piece. So you can just, throw them around your house like confetti. I was looking into this after this happened because I was like, oh my gosh, what if this had happened when I was gone for 3 months? Like just that would be catastrophic. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to live in this space. And so I was looking for leak alarms, and they actually have Bluetooth ones on Amazon, where if you're away from home and you can't hear the screaming, you can't hear the smoke alarm like alarm that it makes, it would alert you on your phone. And that was really appealing to me because I'm a homebody. I work from home. I barely ever leave my home, but when I do, it's for like a months at a time.
Yeah. That is your thing. And so that would be perfect for you.
And then as a last, like final step to this that I need to do is I have to test my home. So in a couple weeks, when all of the dust settles, I'll go ahead and do another environmental test. I'll probably do the EnviroBiomics number 7. So EnviroBiomics is an environmental testing company that most CIRS people use. Again, no affiliation. They have so much of my money. But the number 7 tests for mycotoxins, actinos, and endotoxins. I could potentially just do the mycotoxin test, which is the hurts me too. But I have had some problems with actinos in the past, so I just kind of want to get a lay of the land and might as well, throw the endos in there. Why not?
Yeah, they're fun. They're the fun one. Just kidding. They're not. They're poop. But yes, I think that it's good that you're going to test everything. Just make sure that your home continues to be as wonderful as it has tested in the past. So that's exciting. And yeah, I'm so glad that this whole ordeal went as well, really, as it possibly could have for you. And I know not everyone is that lucky. Not everyone catches them as soon as it seems like you did. So hopefully some of these tips help them as well and certainly help all of us kind of prepare and know what to expect and how to prevent something like this from happening to us. But thank you for turning your experience into a fun learning process for all of us. I really appreciate that.
And I have to say, one of I stopped the water, called for help. And then the third thing that I did was I posted in the group because I was like, I just need prayers and hugs right now. And I think that's one of the amazing things about being in a CIRS community. And, members of the group were reaching out to me and telling me things they had done when they had had similar experiences. So I can't recommend, joining a CIRS group. We have one if you're interested, if you're in the market for a CIRS group, we do have one that you can join to access more resources and support, which was really what I needed at that time the very most.
Yeah, make some CIRS friends, guys. Make some friends that know what it's like to have CIRS, that have dealt with it too, and maybe are a few steps ahead of you. So even if you don't join our group, um, make some friends, use the internet to your advantage and meet people and yeah, we all are sharing our experiences in hopes that it helps others. So you can do that too yourself. So
Yeah, the internet is not just for memes, guys.
yeah, come on. I don't know why I'm so mad. All right. We'll see you guys next week for another episode and hopefully also inside the CIRS group.
See you there.